stop whatever you are doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore? Friends, grasshoppers, this is the Formless Podcast, episode 94, with Tyler, the superhuman, and me, Dustin.
Episode 94.
Dude, I am so excited. I'm so excited. We are closing in on number 100 so fast. That the fact that we've made it that far, like, I was reading some crazy statistics. Like, podcasts generally, like, they only publish like a half dozen episodes, and then they
really?
Yeah, the vast majority. Like, podcasting is really trending right now, and it's like the hot button thing. Like, every major company, like Trader Joe's has a podcast. Everybody's got podcasts. And like, there's all these Facebook groups about podcasting and how to market your podcast and blow it up and you know, and a lot of them are like these get rich quick scheme things. Or there's a lot of hucksters in there. And so it's like the thing right now, you know, and it's kind of funny. But there's a few people that post some really intelligent content on it, and they're like fact-based stuff. And they talk about the average length of a podcast, the average duration of how long a podcast lasts, and stuff like that. And it's like, I want to say, I don't remember, I should have wrote it down, but like 20%, only 20% of podcasts that start continue or like are still going a year later. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Since 21.
So almost four years.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we started, I want to say November or December of 21.
So closing in on 3.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have
episode number 100 coming up.
And we've published 82 or 83 hours of content.
Wow.
Yeah. So pretty cool.
That's a pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah. I mean, we're a little ways away from 10,000 hours, but we're getting there. We're getting there. You know, the old adage about like 10,000 hours to become a master at anything.
Right. Well, yeah. How many podcasts does Joe Rogan or
he's like
Jocko Willink have?
Jocko's got like 400 and something, 420 something, I think. And his are monumental. They're like, some of those are 3 to 5 hours long. And then Rogan's got 2,200 or something like that.
Podcasts.
Yeah. And then he's got, that doesn't include all of his other ones, like the Fight Companions and and then he's got another one called Save Our Parks or something, with a group of comedians. I mean, that dude's got tons and tons. In fact, they were saying like he has an issue right now where these guys are taking his audio and they've put it through AI and they can make it say whatever they want it to. And so they're using his voice to advertise stuff that he has no idea about. And so it's this constant battle where this new commercial comes out and it makes it sound like Joe Rogan is a part of their company or whatever. And it's this vicious cycle.
I have seen that, I believe, with, I mean, a lot of older, people from like, 50, 60 years ago. Like, for example, I was listening to some sermons by Billy Graham, but I'm not sure if they were sermons by Billy Graham because
or sermons by AI.
Yes, exactly. That copied his voice. And put together a sermon. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds good, but now I'm like, oh, okay.
Is
I'm
this
watching.
actually him?
Yeah, if it's a video and I can see people in the background and it looks all grainy, then it's probably real. But some of those other ones, I'm like, I don't know if this is real. This is an AI sermon.
Yeah. Ugh, that's a whole nother quandary there.
That's creepy.
Yeah. AI's
It can be creepy.
AI is interesting. I can see a lot of benefits, a lot of tools, but also there's a lot of unknowns, and it's getting better. That's almost the daily it's getting better.
Like you're saying the AI is getting smarter, or
well, it's harder and harder to like spot a fake.
Okay.
Like there's, when it first came out, it was like, oh, that's a fake. You can see that video and you're like, yeah, they got 3 hands, or they're it's just, you could spot it. It's like, remember when what was it? The computer, the movie industry, when they started doing the digital backgrounds and and like if you watch a movie from like 10 years ago and you see the digital, the green screen stuff, and you're like, oh, that's fake. Right away. You could spot it like instantly. But it gets better and better and better. And like you see a movie now and it's like, is that a real background or is that just some green screen stuff?
Right. Did they paint it in later with visual effects or whatever?
Yeah. So that stuff gets better and better. And like the AI stuff is quick. I was listening to Elon Musk was on Rogan recently, and they were playing with Twitter or X's AI. They have Grok. I can't remember the name of it, whatever name he gave it. But it was conversing with them. They were asking it questions, and they could change the tonality of how the AI answered. So it would be like very professional and very clean cut. And then it would go like, they had this different responses that they could select, and it would change the vocal tonality, the way they spoke. Like it would be mean. It would like be condescending and like treating you like an idiot one minute, and then it'd be super sweet and nice, and like it was weird. It was really weird. They were getting a kick out of it. It was funny.
Skynet.
Yeah.
From Terminator.
That's what I thought of. I mean, I watched that movie when I was a little kid. That was terrifying as like an 8-year-old,
Very much. So like somebody calls you these days, you're like, I don't know if this is like somebody using some AI to
so many, like, yeah, the days of talking to a real person are almost over.
I could get an AI of somebody's voice, and if I got their banking account information, I could like somehow call into the bank and get their banking information. You have your login info. You could call into the bank and change some account stuff because you sound like them possibly, or you take that as far as you want. It's wild.
Well, like any other great tool, you can, it depends on the user.
Right. That's right. That's very much true.
Which is unfortunate because there's a lot of people that have malicious intent, Anyway.
Hopefully they don't start faking us and saying, oh, this is the Formless podcast number 100. And we're like, but we're on 95.
Yeah, wait a minute. We're going to sell. Oh, no. We can't do that. Oh, man. So how was this week?
Pretty good. I've been staying on my goal.
Right on.
That we went through for the New Year's. Still hitting the gym. I hit the gym 5 days this week.
Right on.
5 days. Running 2 miles every day on the treadmill. So doing really good on that. And
Working the cardio.
Cardio, yeah. I do 2 miles, which is anywhere between 17 and 18 minutes for 2 miles on the treadmill. In person, I can do it a lot faster.
Yeah.
Like I recently did 2 miles in 14 minutes and 54 seconds, I think it was.
Right on.
So that's like a 7.5 minute mile. Not terrible, but not great. It's pretty good. Pretty good. But staying on my goal and still working towards those weight limits that I want to get to by the end of this year. So I got 10 more months, or a little less than 10 months.
Right on. On. That's funny you said. So I have a step tracker on my phone, and I probably put in, I would say average about 5 miles every day at work. And the other day, last Monday, it was super busy. I was in one stop for like over 3 hours, which is unheard of. You shouldn't be there more than an hour tops. Just tons of stuff to do. But I looked at my step tracker, and it gives me an alert when I hit a milestone. So the goal is the average. They say you should take 10,000 steps a day to like maintain your physical health or whatever.
10,000 rule again.
Yeah. 10,000 rule again. I had hit that. So I started work. Generally, I start work between 5:30 and 5 a.m. every morning. And by like 7:30, I had like 11,000 steps in. I was like, holy cow. Yeah.
11,000 steps in like a couple hours.
Now it's all flat ground. I'm not walking up hills or through mountains and stuff. I'm just walking back and forth in the store. And I was in a big grocery store. So I was just walking all over the place in there. Yeah. But I was like, holy cow, I already hit my goal for the day. I could stop now.
What's the number? What's like a healthy number for steps?
I think it's the average. I don't know for certain, but I believe the average is 10,000. I read it somewhere that everyone should walk like 10,000 steps a day.
Per day.
And so that's what I have my marker set at. You can set it at anywhere you want. But I've had it on my phone for, this is the third phone I've had. So every 2 to 3 years, I get a new phone. So probably like 9 years now. And I started it because my last job, I was in a desk job and I just sat all the time. And it was like to help me get going in the morning. So I would, I set the goal on the low side for like 6,000 steps. And sometimes it was a struggle to hit that. So with this job, I was hitting that no problem. So I upped it to 10,000. And I'll probably up it again, but on that app, I'm in like the top 98 percentile of users as far as steps taken.
Nice. Okay.
I have no idea how many people use that app. So I don't know, I could be the top 10 of 10, so I don't know how many people are using it, but it's the one metric where I'm like on top. So I'm excited about that. That's cool.
Geez, so at the end of the day, you're at like,
well, that day I
30,000 steps or something.
I had a ton. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and look. But yeah, I definitely hit the goal that day, and probably for the next day too. It's crazy.
Man, the heck with my 2 miles, and you're doing 11,000 steps.
Yeah, it's only about 5 miles. So, and it's not an exact science because different people have different, what's it called? Gait, like your walk.
Right.
You might take a 2-foot walk where I'm only taking like 18 inches.
Right.
That step. So, so I don't know, and it's only reading on my phone. I don't have like, what's the bracelets that people wear that those things were really popular a while back. The Fitbits.
Yes.
I don't have a Fitbit or anything, and it only measures when I've got my phone on me. So I try and keep my phone with me all the time. But it's hard. Like when you're doing martial arts, you can't have your phone in your back pocket, 'cause
Bouncing up around and
it'll fly out of your pocket, or or like I used to carry it in my gi. And then somebody would inevitably punch you or kick you there in your phone. You're like, oh crap, don't break my phone. So I don't hold it all the time,
So, how did your phone screen get broken?
It's been broken before, yeah.
Yeah, well, somebody punched me in the stomach. I had my phone inside my gi.
Yeah. Try and explain that to the insurance. But yeah. So, but yeah. Work's been crazy, busy, like always. But I've decided I'm not going to talk about how hard it was at work, because every time I do, I mentioned this last week or the week before, every time I talk about how hard work was, the next week seems that much harder. So little reverse psychology on myself. I'm not going to talk about how hard work was.
I'm going to talk about how easy work was this week. Yeah. So it'll get easier.
Yeah. It's wild. It's a roller coaster for sure. But
man, I had the easiest work week this week, man. I didn't have to do anything, but I got paid a lot of money. Next week, like you're
only,
trying.
Yeah. If only.
So that was sarcasm there on my part.
Yes, of course. Any movie news?
The film passed all of the quality control
Right on.
measures or checks through the distribution company. So now I'm going to be talking with them very, very soon about what our plan is for the release.
Okay.
Yeah, the streaming release and the DVD release.
Very cool.
I still think I think they don't want to do Blu-ray release. They
Just
only
a
want to
plain
do DVD
DVD.
and streaming.
Is that to keep costs down?
Yeah, Blu-ray. They said Blu-ray would cost more, so that's
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna they're not interested in that, so we're gonna do DVD and streaming. But that's very exciting. And I'm surprised that DVDs even still make money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything's streaming these days. But sure enough, they straight up told me. One of the head honchos I had a meeting with the company, they said DVDs still make money. So and it's on the decline.
Yeah.
To where it's not like what it was in 2003, 2002, something like that.
Yeah.
The DVD boom of that era or whatever, 2005. But yeah, so it still makes money and it's still a viable source of income. And so that's it. So I'll be finding out more about the release of the film soon.
Right on.
Yep.
We'll definitely post that and put links on the website to it for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah. So you guys I want to see you all buy the DVD and watch it on streaming.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about it for how many years now?
Yeah.
Since day one, really.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yep.
Very
cool. that was even before the podcast. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that's where we stand, and just looking towards the future and what other projects I want to get going. And obviously, like I said, we've got 2 sequels planned. Mm-hmm. Whether we see 2 sequels or maybe just 1 sequel or no sequels, I don't know. But
maybe it's an entirely different project.
It might be an entirely different project. But
you got to stay flexible.
It's very much what is the market demanding? Like what is selling right now? And
you kind of always have to have your finger in the air, like checking the wind.
Yes. The best way I heard it described in film school was a good producer has to have their ear to the ground.
Yeah.
Feeling out what the changes in the future are. Like what's the trends? Like where is things going? Like right now, obviously, film is going streaming, right? Everything is streaming. And there's kind of been like a pushback recently. I mean, we just saw at the Oscars, like the best director. I think they definitely won Best Picture. But this guy won 4 Oscars, and he kept saying, he was like the writer, director, one of the producers, I think, for the film, Honora, and he was saying, did you watch the Oscars?
No, I did not.
So he was saying, please, hey, let's get movies back in theaters. Let's get theaters back on their feet. And so I'm hearing that from a lot of different sources, that a lot of people want to put more people back in theaters, right? Because like since COVID, a lot of movie theaters have closed. They couldn't stay open,
yeah,
because they weren't going to movies. And so that's when streaming, increased even more.
Yeah.
The amount of content people were consuming.
Yeah.
And so
it was more at home and not in the theater.
Yep. So now these days, so there's not a lot of stuff going to theater. I mean, theaters are still staying open and having movies come there, but not as much as going there, and not a lot of movies are getting theatrical releases. So there is kind of a pushback saying like, well, let's get more movies in theaters. And so that's like one of those trends. That's one of those trends I was talking about, that it's almost, you can see it as like two different paths. Mm-hmm. One, making content for streaming. They need stuff and it's almost like they want lower budgeted films to go to streamers because they're cheaper to make and you can crank a lot more of them out and a lot faster.
Yeah. Whereas the bigger productions take more time, more effort, more money.
And so those tend to be the movies that go to movie theaters, tend to be like tentpole movies, like the Star Wars, Avatar 3 that's coming out this year. And
they're making a third one.
They're not stopping there.
Oh, really? Well, it made money, so.
Yeah, so a good producer has their ear to the ground listening like what the trends are. And I'm finding out that, there's seasons to movies too. And seasons like as in like right now, if I had more investors, I'd be making a Christmas movie right now.
To get it finished.
To get it finished.
For Christmas
season.
Yep,
to get it sold. I was at the American Film Market in 2023, and when we were trying to sell Miracle Mile. And the American Film Market's basically like you have like a meat market or you have a vegetable market where people just
market
or a farmer's
whatever.
market. Yeah, the perfect example, farmer's market, and this American Film Market, it's been going on for a long time, and so all these distributors go there. And it's held in a hotel, a huge hotel. And all these distributors rent out these, for each distribution company, they'll rent out one hotel room or two or multiple ones.
Oh, and you just go room to room.
And you go room to rooms and shop your film around. So you're walking into hotel rooms and they've got like tables and chairs set up. And they've got each hotel room like partitioned off. Like they might have like 2 or 3 temporary offices in these rooms.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And so some of the bigger distribution companies will rent a whole floor to themselves in these hotels. Like I don't want to say names, but there are certain ones. I just don't want to say it and get it wrong. But so we're going room to room to room, and this one distribution company, which I believe was the one we went with now for our film.
Oh, okay.
We walked in there and they're like, oh, you got a faith-based movie? We're like, yeah. They're like, do you got a Christmas movie? They're like, if you got a Christmas movie, we can get you $60,000 right now for it. Right now, we can sell it like that. $60,000. You could walk.
That was in like April?
No, that was in November.
Oh, okay.
So the American Film Market's in November of every year. They got it planned out for like 10 years down the road. They've got the dates locked in for 10 years down the road.
Wow.
So anyways, that was just an eye opener that they just need to fill slots.
Yeah.
In their programming schedule, whether or with these, you got to think these distribution companies, they're kind of like the middleman. So there's like me who made the movie, then there's the distribution company, and they get it on Amazon or they get it on Netflix or they get it on Hulu, like, or any of those places. So these streaming companies, these streaming services might say, hey, distribution company, we need a Christmas film. We need a Christmas film to release the first week of December. And so that's,
then they're like, oh, okay, well, we got this one, or
we don't have any. And then they turn around and they say, okay, all you people that are coming to sell us films, like, do you got a Christmas movie? Do you got a Christmas movie? And so there's this certain type of demand for certain films at certain times.
Okay.
What I like to call seasons. But,
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
But I didn't realize that.
Right.
That's interesting. That's a whole nother aspect that I was unaware of.
Yeah. So like, if you think about it, like every year movies that come out on Christmas Day, right? It's usually like a big feel good type, like,
It's the season.
It's the season of that type of film. They're not releasing like a horror film on Christmas Day. Not normally.
Not generally, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's
Like
for Halloween.
Halloween, or a lot of horror films come out in January, February, March. Like a lot of them have just come out in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. So that's kind of their dumping ground for those. But then you get like the comedies, which come out like in spring and summer.
Very cool. Very cool.
So a good producer has their ear down to those trends and those seasons, saying like, this is the industry's looking for this, and you kind of get ahead of the curve in a way. If that makes sense.
You're trying to get ahead of the curve. Sometimes you end up under it or behind it.
Yep. So that's my long-winded answer. I hope that made sense.
No, that totally made sense. That was good. And that also brings us to the quote.
The quote.
Yeah.
Read the quote again.
So, okay.
That was a good one.
Okay. It's Marcus Aurelius.
Okay, I was going to ask who that was.
Yeah. Stop with whatever you are doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore? Do this. Like, for you, your movies. If you were to die, would you be like, oh, I still wanted to make that movie. I was working on that.
I'm going to say that, I want to keep doing some certain things. Like
I look forward to this every Saturday.
Yeah.
Like Saturday is for the podcast. Saturday is for doing the Saturday morning class. Like I live for that right now. And if something were to interrupt that, I would be heartbroken. I'd be like, oh man, like that's
your jam.
That's my jam. I look forward to that every Saturday. And I'm counting down the days. Right now in the middle of it, this is great fun.
This is where you want to be.
This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. And I would be, can I just have one more week? Give me one more week. Come on. Like, let's make a deal here. What do you need?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, do you think by him asking that question, by him saying that, do you think he was trying to hint one way or the other, or it's like an open-ended, like there's no wrong answer?
I don't know if there's a wrong answer there, but I think more of like looking into your everyday life. What are you doing to, you should ask yourself when you're doing something, like, would I rather do this than die? If I died, would I be remorse, or would I be like, all right, I've arrived? I think that's one way of looking at it. I think the other way of looking at it is, there are things that are hard, right? Everybody's got stuff in their life that's hard to do. And I personally have been on this track of like, everything is hard. When things are hard, I'm down and I'm complaining about it, and I'm bitching and moaning about it, right? Instead of like, let's get through this because there's something good on the other side of it. What's the benefit of doing all of this hard stuff? What am I going to get out of this by going through this hard thing? Mm-hmm. So just taking a step back and looking at the forest and not the individual trees. That's what I'm getting out of it. The broader perspective, right? and it's been a real dilemma for me. Not a dilemma, but like a kind of an obstacle, for lack of a better word. I've been really struggling with some things and kind of trying to I find myself having this internal battle of okay, quit wallowing in your own misery. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, I look back at other hard times in life. I was like, you know what? It was hard, but I can laugh about it because I made it through. Or I can look back at that and go, you know what? I had to learn this lesson, and I made it through that. I read this thing the other day, something about life being hard. I can't remember word for word. Something about life being hard, but if it hasn't killed you yet, then you're winning. Was that it? Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Basically, like if you haven't died yet, you're winning. And whatever it was that was so hard didn't kill you. So congratulations.
You're still around.
You're still here, And that's the outlook that I want to have, like, all the time, and not just when I'm doing the fun stuff. You know what I mean? Because you get down in the trenches and you're working and you're like, and struggling and kicking the dirt and everything. I don't want to be there, right? I don't want to be like, this sucks. This is hard. I want to be over here where I'm going, I made it. Didn't kill me yet,
What, in the moment when you're in the trench?
So I, my focus becomes super narrow, and I'm like, this didn't work, or this is hard, or life's tough, blah, 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 blah. And I'm complaining. Complaining. And you're just doing the infantile thing of like, I didn't get the milk, or I didn't get the cookie. And why don't I have the cookie? Life is terrible. Who cares? You're going to make it, push through. That kind of thing. And not having the outlook of, poor me. Right. So, and that's just this OODA loop, or this revolving door of like, that's my mindset. Like, if I get into that, I'm on the treadmill. If I get into that mindset, then I'm like, everything's negative.
Right.
So I have to really watch myself and like, go, hold on, Hot Rod. Like, you don't need to really, is this that bad? Like, it's just another obstacle, and there's going to be another one tomorrow. So get over yourself. So anyway, I read that this morning. That quote got me, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm doing these things.
Yeah.
I want to keep going, and I got to do all this other stuff that's not fun to get there. So, okay. So does everyone else, It's funny. We had a test a couple weeks ago for both my younger sons tested. And Tom had tested the month previous, and he didn't do so hot. There were some other things that shook it up a little bit. We had an unexpected guest arrive at the school, and it was a little, I don't know, I think he was running from the police or something. There was some weird thing that happened. He walked in. I didn't see it. I was in the other room with some other students. Nothing happened, nothing like violent or anything, but it was a definite interruption, and I think it threw him off. And then he had to like test with somebody who was a little bit bigger than he is. And so that threw him off, and he was just off his game. He wasn't quite up to snuff. So this month rolls around, he's going to test, and he's super nervous. And he's like, what if I have to do it with, what if I have to do my test with Sensei Court? Or what if I have to do my test with Sensei Poke-Up? Or he's going through all these lists of people that are going to make him nervous and stuff. And I'm like, hold on, dude. He's 10, Like, hold on, dude. First of all, do any of these people not know who you are or don't like you or have a grudge against you? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, so here's what you need to do. If you get nervous, just remember they poop too. Right? I got to bring it down to a 10-year-old level. I'm like, they poop too, man. Everybody here, we're just humans. Like, don't get it all. Don't make it bigger than it is. It is what it is, but don't make it bigger than that. And so it made him laugh. And that was the goal. I was trying to make him laugh and get him out of his mindset there, because he was just like working himself up into this frenzy of anxiety. And I'm like, dude, just chill. It's not the end of the world. What's the worst thing that can happen? Well, I don't pass. Okay, you don't pass. Does that mean you can't come in here anymore? Does that mean you're not going to get the train anymore? No, you're going to be bummed out because you didn't pass. Big deal. Everybody gets bummed out. Like, just don't put more relevance on it or more emphasis on it than what it is. Right?
Yep.
And that's a long-winded way of me trying to say I put more relevance on stupid crap than I should. And I'm trying not to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Do you think that he somehow absorbed that from you?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
That's all me. I'm sure of it. That's my bringing that to the table.
like, do you think that he got that type of anxiety? What do you want to call it? Anxiety, like mindset. Do you think he genetically inherited it from you, or do you think he absorbed it just by you having it and then like osmosis?
Oh, it's probably more like that. Just being around, living in the same house.
Okay.
Children are real interesting. They'll mimic what they see and what they do. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. My wife will be one day.
Heck yeah, go Brighton.
Yeah, but I just from my own experience with children, if you do stuff on a consistent basis, they see that. Whether it's good or bad, they'll see that and they will pick that up,
Like they'll absorb it.
Yeah. It's just a natural thing.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, like
just in general.
Just in general, whether it's something simple as like the way you tie your shoes in the morning, or the way, like if you have a morning routine that you go through every morning, no matter how mundane, if they see that, they will pick those little things up, those little habits or ticks. I talk with my hands a lot, and Tom does too. Right? Like you see him and he's out there and he's very animated. Yeah. And I'm like that. When I get excited, my hands fly up. I'm part Italian, so.
Salsi.
Yeah.
It sounds that's Italian, right?
Yeah. That's a whole nother topic for another story. But yeah. So
he worked himself up into
I literally just like came to this realization like 30 seconds ago. But yeah, he had worked himself up into this huge like bundle of nerves and was like all freaked out about having to test again and who he was going to test with, and it was going to be hard, and he'd already failed once and he's probably going to fail again, and he's freaking out. I'm like, dude, chill. Everybody poops, man. Just tell yourself that, I had to, I'd bring it down to a 10-year-old level, make it funny.
That's good.
It's like the old thing. If you get nervous talking in front of people, just imagine they're all sitting there in their underwear.
Right.
It's the same,
very similar.
Same thing, just a little bit more kid level.
No, that's something I've been wondering about recently. It's just something I've been exploring.
Yeah.
Is that if you look at children, mm-hmm. and then the parents, the children, and I mean, it's just common sense. The children will, they'll behave like their parents.
Yeah.
Whether for good or bad, they're like little sponges and they just soak up
Oh, dude. Absolutely.
I mean, you have 3 kids.
Absolutely.
So you know far better than I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they're a sponge. That's a great analogy. They're a sponge. They just soak up everything. And then you'll look back and go, "Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that."
Because
or I'm glad they did that. You know? In some ways, there's a dichotomy there. I mean, it's not an exact science for sure. Sometimes it can work the opposite too. Like if there are people that have grown up around alcoholics,
Right?
And they see like the damage that does, and they don't drink because of that. Like, I don't want to end up like that. So that's that. There's examples of that everywhere.
Yeah.
Smokers, exactly.
That's one I've seen.
Yeah.
People that had parents that smoked in the house, they get older and they're just like, they don't even want anything to do with that, smoking. So, and that totally makes sense. But though, I would say those are more, in my opinion, are more, it's easier to see the kids absorbing the behaviors of their parents.
Yeah.
More so. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know. But I've noticed that with some people that I'm around, and that some people will kind of tell jokes the same way that I do. And I'm like, ooh, they're kind of, a portion of their personality is similar to mine, but it's because they absorbed it. Or the reverse is that I'll catch myself telling a joke or stating my opinion in the way that's like one of my friends or somebody I was around a lot, wherever, the army or growing up or something. And I'm like, I wonder if
did you absorb that
by osmosis. Else? I mean, it goes into the whole, you are the sum average of the 5 people you hang around, right? Yeah. So that's a similar concept.
Yeah, for sure.
My dad, he told me one time, gosh, this had, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. He told me, he said, the people you hang around, I'm just paraphrasing him, the people you hang around, you will start to act like them and you won't even notice it. Now, whether someone agrees with that statement or not, that stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I've thought about that one recently in the last about 1.5 years, 2 years. I've thought about that a lot as I've seen more, and it comes with being a black belt, right? And noticing people's tics and their traits, their trends. What's the other word I'm looking for? It's the repeatable things you can see. There's a word I'm looking for. Trends. We look for, before this person throws this punch, they drop their shoulder a little bit. Their tics, their habits. Yeah. So you start seeing that, and then as a black belt, you can start seeing a little bit of the way that I act is kind of like borrowed from this person, in the same way kids will get stuff from their parents.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about. That's my opinion, no one has to agree with that, but that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild when you like see it happen, especially with your own children.
Your own children, right? You're talking with Tom, you see it.
You see that and you're like, "Oh wow. That's my wife, or that's me, or that's a little bit of both of us." It's wild. It's definitely a wild thing. That was excuse me. I slept in this morning and it threw me off a little bit, and not
100%.
Not 100%. Yeah. I got to get 100% there. I got to get back in the game here.
I definitely think that, going back to that quote, Marcus Aurelius, that, I mean, you could easily say like, well, you don't know if you're going to die today or not, if you're going to live to see the end of today. Nobody does. So you really don't have any control over like if you're okay with it or not.
No, but like you don't. You're absolutely right. You have no control over that. But you can look back and go, if I was to die, would I miss this?
Yes.
Like, is this something worthwhile? Am I learning how to play chess, and do I love it? And would I miss playing chess if I was to die right now?
Like you would miss doing the podcast and doing this
doing
and
martial arts,
teaching.
teaching, all of that stuff. Of course, I'd miss my family and all of that.
Yeah,
but
right.
but like, I'm doing something I love. I'm doing something I'm passionate about. I'm having fun. But it's like, yeah.
It's like what?
No, I was going to say something, but I censored myself because I'm not ready to stir the pot too much yet.
Save that for episode 100.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
We'll bring all the controversial topics up on the 100. No, I just want to focus on the stuff that makes sense right now, and that's where I got that's what hit home with me on that quote. Like, yeah, I'm doing something right. How many times do you go through life and you're doing something and you're like, why am I even doing this?
Every day.
On the treadmill. Why am I doing this?
Or whatever. Yeah. So, now I wonder what Marcus would say. Like, because I think so you take Buddhism, right? Mm-hmm. I think Buddhism, it's all about a lot about detachment, and not having attachments to things.
I don't know enough about it to agree or disagree. So I'm going to just agree for the sake of argument.
Okay. Yeah. So, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But so Buddhism, you don't have attachments, and that's, the way is no way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And which is so interesting because I believe that would say, Buddhism would say, and please, if anyone out there has anything to say, correct me on this, so I can get it right. But Buddhism would say no attachments, so you're ready to go at any time, right? Their goal is to become enlightened, and it's all about sloughing off everything and just letting go. So they would say you should be ready to go at any time. You know, so as a Christian, you're not supposed to have any attachments really, because, like I said, you don't know when you're going to die. You don't know when your time is up, right? So you don't want to have any attachments, but it's funny because you still want to do things, right? It's still we're said to, in the Bible to you still gotta plant the fields, and you gotta
there's work to be done.
There's work to be done, things you have to do. So that's does that make it I'm trying? I guess there's no way to state that other than to say yes, you have to plan for the morrow. You have to enjoy what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. But it's all about attitude.
It's all about attitude.
You can go plow the field and plant the plants and be happy about it, or you can be begrudgingly working that hoe or that rototiller and it's hot,
grumpy,
yeah. And that's I think a big key to things. Just
attitude.
Just attitude. Just be happy about it.
They say attitude is everything.
Yeah, attitude is everything. And my attitude has sucked lately, so I'm trying to fix it.
Okay, that's what Dustin's working on right now.
Yeah. No, I just realized it. I'm kind of dense in that aspect of my own personal, where I am emotionally. I'll just complain about it. Oh, work sucks, or this is hard, or I'm fighting with my wife, or instead of going, hold on, dude, take a look. You got it pretty good. There's so many worse things that could happen. You have no physical issues, thank God, knock on wood. What are you complaining about? You're healthy. You're relatively happy. You have a house. You have a car that starts every morning. You
have a family.
Yeah. You didn't go to bed hungry.
Right.
I haven't missed a meal. okay, I got this magic thing called electricity. When I go home, I flip a switch and the lights come on. I'm not cold. I'm not hot. Like, what do you got to complain about? And I've forgotten that. And I just now like realized that I had forgotten that again. Like just recently, within the last couple of hours, days, I had forgotten that. And so I was in this negative cycle of complaining about everything. I'm like, you know what? I don't like that. I don't want that. So, and then it all hit home literally this morning when I was like looking for a quote. And I found that quote and it was like, boom. So
that quote pointed you in the other direction.
Yeah, well, like, just helped get me out of my funk. So we're out. We're good.
We get into those funks.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. So no, I recently, yesterday was Friday, Thursday, I was in Weaverville, small little mountain town, was working. And there was a dude in a McLaren. Do you know what a McLaren is? It's a very expensive, exotic car. It's British. It's a sports car. They're like, I want to say the cheapest one starts at $250,000. More than my house, right? They're very rare cars. You don't see them every day. And you especially don't see them in Weaverville. But it was like, one of those things that like you may not ever see one again. And it was like, wow. And there was people like talking to the guy who's just sitting in his car waiting for somebody to come out of the store for him, And it was one of those things, but it's a materialistic thing, right?
Right.
Like, and I like nice stuff. I admit that I like to have nice things when I can afford them. Who doesn't like a nice steak dinner? Who doesn't like that nice whatever? But it made me think like, is that the goal? Like, are we trying to work and save for the nice car or the thing? It's one thing if you can afford it. Don't get me wrong. More power to you. If you can afford it, great. I'm happy for you. But like, I started this whole internal dialogue with myself about this guy in this McLaren. Like, is that the goal? Is that what you want? I'm like, not particularly. I could think of a lot of other things I'd like to do with $250,000. and I'd probably like, I don't know what the actual, like, I don't know if you can even get a loan for that. Like, if you made enough money, could you get a loan to buy a car like that? Or is that one of those things you're like, no, we need cash, sir?
Yeah, exactly.
Or you got to write a check after we verify that you actually have funds in the bank, I don't know. I that's a whole nother world than I don't walk in that world. But like, for some people that's like the goal, right? I got to have the car. I've got to have the house. I got to have the thing. Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that blank for me would be the car. I don't know, but if I was walking in those shoes, it might be, it was weird. I had this huge dialogue with myself about that. I'm like, cause I definitely admire it. And I like automobiles. I like cars. I have a few and I like nice cars too, but it's like, now if that was like a 1966, 67 Corvette, I would have been like drooling over it. Right. Cause that would be really cool. That would hit the I want button for me. Obviously the McLaren hit the I want button for that guy and he got it and he had the money or the funds or the means to get it somehow. But I was like, just having this weird dialogue with myself about it. And
Is
like,
that the
is
fill
that
in the
is that the
blank?
thing? Yeah, is that the thing? And I'm just like, I don't know if it is. I don't know if it is. I'm much more. What the blank is for me right now is much more getting to hang out with my family,
Yeah.
getting to do martial arts with the family, getting to do this. You know, those are the things right now that are my want. That's my blank. That's the thing I'm going after. And I don't know if that focus will shift. I hope not. Right now, I'm having fun going after that.
Yes.
You know, doing those things. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. We could just we could go on
We
on
can
that.
go off on that.
The only thing I can think about that McLaren is I know Weaverville and there is a lot of deer over there. So
Watch out.
yeah,
dude.
watch out. This guy hits a nice buck or not a nice buck, and
It's a yeah.
The
you're
car-
gonna have to go buy a new McLaren.
yeah, I mean, where do you take it in Weaverville to get work done on it? Will the mechanics even work on it? They're like,
Yeah.
nope, sir, we cannot touch that.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
The air conditioning goes out on that, and he's like, where does he take it to get it fixed? You can't go to your little do the Mon Pa shops like fix the McLarens? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
that's a whole other level of problems. Like, whoop, now we got to ship it back to England just to get the air conditioning fixed.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the thing about living up here.
Yeah.
Like in the sticks, for lack of a better word, you know. I seek people that have like nicer cars and stuff. You buy it from the dealership, like a BMW. There's not a BMW dealer here. The nearest one's Chico. So
Well, that's a heck of a lot closer. Than Britain.
yeah. I'm sure, you know, I don't know. Maybe San Francisco.
Yeah.
Sacramento. I don't know.
Who
I don't
knows?
know.
Maybe.
We'll have to look that up. Is there a McLaren dealership in Sacramento?
There's got to be one in San Francisco.
Oh, I'm sure.
Or LA at least, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. But
No-
I don't even know, like, there's different laws for cars. So if you produce a certain number of cars, then they follow mass-produced cars. Like all Hondas have air conditioning.
yeah.
All of them have anti-lock brakes and airbags because you have to, because to make it like if you were to produce a car tomorrow, it would have to have this whole list of safety features. But if you are a production, like if you produce automobiles, there's guidelines. If you hit under a certain number, you don't have to follow like all these rules because they're not as common, right?
Right.
And it's a weird, there's weird rules for everything like that. So I don't know, like, does it even have air conditioning? Who knows? Like, I don't know. It might. I would assume it does, but it's a sports car. It's like a super exotic sports car, really fast,
Yeah.
lots of horsepower. Most people that have those probably don't care about air conditioning because they're like, it's a look at me thing, you know, look at how awesome I am. I got this car.
Reading gets pretty hot in the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I know. And that's so funny to think about. Does that person that has that sports car that's like, look at me, is their value derived from that car?
For them, I don't know. I'd probably, it'd be hard to smile. It'd be hard to cry. Right?
Right.
Like,
But
if you could have something like that, nice. It'd be, it definitely makes you feel better. I'm sure it makes you feel good.
I'm sure it does for a while.
Like if
Is
I
that good though? Like that your value is derived from like something
knows?
like since you've gotten higher up in the ranks on martial arts and
Yeah.
you teach, your like a lot of your, I would say your value, your self-perception, your self-perceived value comes from you get to do something that is an acquired skill. You know,
Okay,
like
yeah.
like your martial art is it's like Dustin's style, like his, like the way you spar and the way you do martial arts. I would say that's a much more valuable
yeah,
from which to
then
derive your value,
as opposed to like being able to buy a sports car.
being able to buy a sports car that someone else designed and it's sold in it's a big in another country, and like you didn't do anything to it except earn a lot of money to buy it, but it's not like it's somebody else's style, whereas your style of martial arts is Dustin's style, and nobody can replicate that. Your style is unique, one of a kind.
Yeah.
Whereas, there's probably a couple hundred other rich people driving around the world with the same sports car, like
same color,
same.
Yeah.
And it's their value is derived from their potentially temporary value is derived from that, and to me that's
the shallow end of the pool.
Very much so. And I think you see that because you're saying like, well, is that the thing I want though?
Yeah. So
that's just my opinion. I'm not driving around in a $250,000 car. I might change my attitude if I was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, as long as you're not this materialistic egomaniac. But, if you could afford it, more power to you. Go for it.
Yeah.
But I think you're right there. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, there's other things in life that can give you tremendously more value for your effort.
Yeah.
And that, for me, that's martial arts.
That's martial arts.
That's my family. That's doing the podcast. That's where I find that value.
Yeah.
I wouldn't smile. I wouldn't be frowning if I had a
sports
if I could afford a car like that. I'd be pretty happy. I'd be pretty set because I know a lot of other things would be taken care of, right? That would be if you could in my thinking, if I could afford that, then that meant all my other financial obligations had no trouble being met. Right. Like I wouldn't be thinking about the mortgage because the house would be paid off. I wouldn't be thinking about bills because it's taken care of. Right. Unless that dude's in debt to his eyeballs. Who knows? Maybe he is. I didn't talk to him. But yeah, that's a whole nother perspective I didn't think about. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, a great example is like going hunting with other hunters, and a hunter might have a $2,500 shotgun that they're downing birds with, right? And I've got my $300 Remington 870
Wingmaster
pump action shotgun, and I'm downing just as many birds as them.
They both do the same thing.
Both do the same thing. The McLaren, I mean, it looks cool, but does it go 200 miles an hour? I mean, like, does it go faster than your Honda? It probably goes a little bit faster. It accelerates faster, but...
Yeah. It goes there faster. It gets there quicker.
Yeah.
It stops quicker. It, like, on a performance scale, it's a slug and a jackrabbit. There's no comparison.
Right. Yeah. On that. Exactly. But I was saying, like I inherited from somebody who passed, I inherited a really expensive shotgun.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's an over under, I don't even want to say what kind it is, but it's,
it's nice.
It's a very nice shotgun.
Is it one of those things that it's so nice that like you're afraid to touch it?
No, it came all scratched up.
Oh, okay.
And, like,
it was used.
It was used.
Well
yeah,
used.
It's got good use on it. Like
Yeah.
it's not busted or anything, but it's just you can just tell it's well used. But like that thing is so expensive, and versus just my $300 Remington 870, and I go out, you're still down in birds regardless. Like.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I need to even if I had the money, do I need to go out and show the world that I can afford this really expensive shotgun and look cool walking around? Like,
yeah. Who are you trying to impress?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because then your value is you're derived from you're trying to impress people, and you're looking for other people's approval. And it's like, hey, look at me. And maybe that guy with the McLaren, maybe he just doesn't care. You know, he's just like,
Yeah.
nope, I bought this for me, and I don't care what anyone thinks, high or low. Like, you know, so
that's true. That's true.
that's just kind of my thinking on stuff like that. It's like people that buy a cotton shirt that's like a $1,500 name brand cotton shirt, and I'm like, well, my fresh clean tea over here, you know, brand,
my Hanes,
yeah, does the same thing.
got
like,
the 6-pack at Walmart.
yeah,
It does the same thing.
yeah, and it's still cotton.
But
It's still cotton, you
Yeah.
know, or a cotton blend or whatever.
But that's not your thing.
That's not my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's never been fashion things that, why spend that kind of money on that stuff? I could spend my money on a lot of other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would make me just as happy. But yeah, that's,
I mean, it's just like, what is your thing that you love, that you derive value, and is it a healthy thing? Like your thing is having guests on the podcast and doing martial arts and interacting with people, versus somebody else's thing might be,
watches.
a chunks of metal
Yeah.
that are made into a watch or a car. And you're just like, I mean, you didn't even do that. Like, you didn't even make that. Whereas you're designing that, you have designed this podcast. This is a thing you have done, and you designed the class and how you want to teach it. It's like your thing. Like, that cannot be replicated. Does that make like,
Yeah. That's cool.
You know?
I like that. I like that mindset. That's, right on. Hey, that's a good point. I think we could call it right there. Friends, find something you love, do it, enjoy it, get down to the nitty gritty of it. If you liked what you heard, come back next week. We'll do it again.
I'd like to put out,
absolutely.
If you could email us and tell us what at the Formless Pod you go ahead.
Formlesspod@gmail.com.
Email us and give us some ideas, like what you would like to see for, like, any suggestions for episode 100.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because we're quickly approaching that. Also, we got to get that YouTube going. We got posts on there regularly, but we have enough subscribers where we can do like a live event, or we could do some videos. We've got to come up with some stuff on that. We also have a Facebook page called The Formless Pod. Instagram, Formless Pod. Twitter, same thing. Or X, whatever you call it. Yeah, let's go. Friends, grasshoppers, sayonara.